You're about to watch a free clip of Old School. If you like it, wait till you see the whole episode. All the episodes in their entirety are available for members. Become a member by going to tyt.com/join. All right, welcome to Old School. Of course, brought to you by your sponsor, shoptyt.com. And not that, but still.
This shirt has like two, really significant stains on this shirt.
I thought it was sweat. No, those are stains.
These are stains. I don't know if it was cleaned like this, or I don't know if I just had. I had a very sloppy day. I don't want to tell you. I've not bathed today.
Oh, interesting. So that's how it started.
Now I can clean up without showering better than anybody in the country.
Oh, we had this discussion where you go through your ritual.
So I did all that, of course. I've done it a couple times today. But I also walked my new dog to the ocean and then along the ocean for a while. So I've had like a 4-mile walk today.
Wow, that's a lot of walking with no bathing.
And then I came back and I put a new shirt on and earlier in the afternoon because I ran an errand and I was like, I'm not gonna walk around in my sweatpants and the t-shirt that I walked the dog in. So I put on a different t-shirt, apparently a filthy, dirty one, and then put some jeans on and ran some errands.
Oh, that reminds me of a really important story. Yesterday I was wearing a pretty tight TYT t-shirt. And by tight, I don't mean like lit or anything like that. I mean, it was literally tight. I even did a behind the scenes for our members about how tight it was and how absurd the back of the t-shirt was. And I was gonna go to sleep and normally I keep my t-shirt on and I was like, no.
Tonight.
I'm taking it off. I'm putting on a more comfortable t-shirt. Like that, because I'm crazy like that.
You know, I still do it. I'll sleep in a good t-shirt, right? Like even one I changed into. And I'll take it off and the dirty clothes will be there even after our conversation. And I'll still I'm gonna lay it down in my closet because this might come back tonight.
It might come back. I know, I do it from time to time, but lately, since I have so many TYT shirts, I'm just like, no, I'm going crazy. Yeah, and so this is now going on, like the first half hour is going on Publix in some places like YouTube and stuff of Old School. We did a hybrid, we decided we're gonna do that.
It airs next Tuesday, is that right? I saw an ad.
No, that's a mistake.
Okay, that's good because it seemed like.
Oh, no, my bad. It might air next Tuesday on YouTube TV.
The most number of days late.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, but they're gonna be okay because they didn't miss much. Your shirt is gonna have the same stain 6 days from now. It's gonna be okay. So no, but now since we started putting it up on the first half hour on YouTube, become a member, get the whole thing, tyt.com/join.
We don't really get going until about 38 minutes in.
Yeah, so then I looked at the comments for a second. They're like, I don't get it. When are they gonna talk about real stuff? Correct answer, never.
Never. I mean, sometimes by accident, but you can't predict it.
Yes, that's right. No, we often do. In fact, some of my best predictions have been on Old School.
Yeah, here we go.
I have the strongest predictions. I have the best bets on Old School.
Like the Rand Paul prediction that you crushed.
Yeah, that's right. Ben loves that.
It's my favorite. It is because it's the ultimate Cenk story. It is the perfect microcosm of your assessment of you. And it's not fully wrong. That's what's great about it, right? I mean, it's not, but you said that Rand Paul would win the Republican nomination.
Yes, now mind you, at the very, very beginning, so Donald Trump had just gone down the escalator.
Right, not after Rand Paul dropped out of the race, yes, when Rand Paul was still in it, yes.
But we didn't know anything, there was no polling, there was nothing, yes.
I understand, I think that was implicit in the prediction. Like early, there were 17 people, and you thought Rand Paul would win, and you weren't alone. I mean, there were other people. But the thing that makes you is that, I don't know, 3 months ago you were telling that story and you basically were like, no, I called the election. I said that an outsider would win. I mean, I said Rand Paul, but I said an outsider would win. I got it. Like, your point was, I nailed it. and you sort of think you did.
Kind of, yeah. I said populist.
Populist, that's right.
And not a mainstream Republican like Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio.
So you looked for an outsider Republican and you ended up getting one. It was just Trump.
Just the wrong one.
Right.
You admit that 40% of you are thinking now, like kind of, okay. See, the Democrats are great at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, right? I like to do the opposite. I like to do the opposite of whatever the Democratic establishment does. I'm going to snatch victory out of the jaws of obvious defeat because Rand Paul is not president.
Not president. Nor was he close to being president.
No, not really that close.
Well, off the top of my head, 13th?
No, you're being unfair.
11th?
I think he was all the way up at 9th or 7th or something.
Let's go through it. That's okay. Donald Trump is 1.
1.
Ted Cruz is 2. John Kasich is 3.
That's clear. That's clear as day.
Right. Marco Rubio and
Rubio was 4th.
Yeah.
And then you're going to lose track of the numbers. Like, then at that point, you're just naming people that were ahead of Rand Paul. So Chris Christie ahead?
Yeah, I couldn't guarantee that. My sense is that Chris Christie finished ahead of Rand Paul, but I wouldn't bet much money on that.
Yeah, right? Although some of my strongest bets
So, but that said, if you told me Rand Paul finished 7th, 9th, or 12th, I would accept all of those answers.
Yes. Yeah. And in a sense, they were all correct.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
As is the fact that
Jim Gilmore finished behind him. I think Lindsey Graham finished behind him.
Yeah. No, the guys who finished at the bottom are equally clear as the guys who finished at the top. Bobby Jindal was among them. Remember Bobby Jindal?
Yeah, Rick Santorum ran again. Did he?
Yeah, he did, but he hung in there for a while. He did terrible, but just hung around because he was on TV. Oh, Ben Carson was probably in the upper echelon.
Yeah, he finished ahead of Rand Paul probably.
And Ben Carson was the only person. This fun trivia fact, not totally confirmed, but good enough because I followed it really closely. Was the only person to ever have a lead other than Donald Trump in the entirety of the primary season.
Ben Carson, there was a time.
Yeah, there was like a day and a half window where Ben Carson had the lead.
Right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I don't think we mentioned Jeb Bush, but I think Jeb finished ahead of Rand Paul.
Yeah, he must have, but not by much.
But not in the big picture. In a sense, you could argue Jeb Bush finished behind everyone.
Yeah, he did way worse. That's right.
Because his from expectation to performance, Bush would have been last.
By the way, Ben Carson, another outsider. I'm not saying anything. I'm just walking away. Okay, I'm dropping the mic. I'm just saying. Okay, whereas the insiders got crushed. But anyway, yes, Bobby Jindal,
except Ted Cruz,
Lindsey Graham.
Ted Cruz and John Kasich, who
Kasich is definitely establishment. Cruz pretends he's not establishment. He is.
But he is,
yeah. Anyways,
Marco Rubio finished 4th, so 2, 3, and 4. But go on.
Yeah, but not near the top. Okay, so anyways, so then the comments continue. They're like, well, I don't get it. They're just talking about shirts and food and what season is more American. That I'm not sure that makes sense.
I'm sure. All the seasons are applied to all the countries, don't they?
Yeah.
I just want to tell you, I spent some time in Italy and they had summer. They knew it was summer too. They talked about it.
But you know what?
What are you doing for the summer? They would say, what are you doing for the summer?
We're having a good time. We're having a great time. We drink wine.
A couple of great Italian accents there. I think I started with vat.
Yeah, I know. That's like the.
I don't know what that was. So
I would. Yes.
The Russian visiting Italy.
My accent was the Rand Paul of that competition. It clearly won.
It did. It clearly won. It's the president.
You know what? That could now be a phrase. Like when you don't get something right, but you think you did. I don't know how often that happens to anyone else.
Well, you don't get something right, but you think you did and you claim that you did.
Like, or no, not you claim you did, because like when the essence of what you were saying was right. Like you got the wrong word. You said verbose when you meant vituperative. Rand Paul did. It was close enough.
I don't think the essence of saying that Rand Paul's going to be elected president is correct.
Besides which, verbose and vituperative are not anywhere near each other.
No, they start with these. They start with vat.
Anyways, but you know what wound up happening in the comment section a little bit? And then we'll stop talking about that?
People came around?
They're like, but wait a minute now, summer is definitely more American than fall, so I'm not sure that they're right about that. But they are right that winter is not that American, not nearly as American as spring. Right? And we're off to the races. Welcome to old school.
Somebody pointed out that it was like, this is on Twitter, it was like, Ben, most of spring training takes place in winter.
Okay. It's got spring in the title, but he got you.
He did. It's a good point.
Yeah. Now, you would claim that it's mainly in the spring as a Rand Paulian argument.
Yeah, that its essence It's spring training.
We did it. That's the Rand Paul argument.
I understand, but he's not President Rand Paul.
Okay.
It's still spring training.
Well, but it's not in the spring. Most of it is in the winter. Another mic drop. I'm not saying anything. Anyway, so my wife, about shirts, she was going to weigh in on them. Shoot, I forgot what I was going to say about that. Okay, but I assure you that it was irrelevant. So we're going to move forward. Okay, so I have a bunch of things saved up that I wrote down, and so I never get to them. So I want to get to one of them today because a friend of mine had a genius idea, and I wonder if you think it's also genius. So it was a state. It's a state that they're thinking of moving to.
Oh, I mean, not
like
a new state. No, they're not like looking to name a 51st state.
No, and they're not in a state of anxiety. It's just one of the 50 states of the United States. Okay, and at first I'm like, you're gonna move there? What? And then I was like, wait a minute, this might actually be genius.
I want to instantly start naming states that it isn't.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you could name a lot of states.
Sure, I just off the top of my head, here's what came up: Indiana.
Indiana. No, it is not Indiana.
Tennessee, New Hampshire.
No.
Not moving to any of those either. Tennessee, New Hampshire, they're not moving. They're not moving to Delaware.
Remember, I was like, that's crazy.
Right, and then
wait a minute, that might actually be genius.
Right. So Indiana, Tennessee, New Hampshire, Delaware, just crazy.
Yeah, or no, Nashville's fun. Like I wouldn't say Nashville, Tennessee's even crazy.
No, I wouldn't either. And Delaware. I mean, if you want to live on the Delaware shore,
it's okay. But I wouldn't say it's genius. No, it's not Nobody genius. Living in Delaware is genius.
And with all due respect to our Hoosier audience, you don't move to Indiana.
No, Indiana's like if you. So I went and it was one of the first times I ever got paid to speak anywhere, and I went to Notre Dame. And God, Notre Dame was lovely. Indiana was lovely. They had a chocolate Hall of Fame or museum. They had a college Hall of Fame next to a chocolate museum. Right. And I'm like, look, we call this America. Right. Okay, so God bless Indiana. But no, it's not genius to move to Indiana. No.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, because I don't think you would react as in that's crazy and then it's good. I'm going to get rid of the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to throw out Washington and Oregon.
And Portland, right? Yeah. So Oregon, right? Yes, because it wouldn't be crazy at all. Portland's a genius place to move, but it's immediately genius. It is not at all a surprise.
Now, I'm also throwing out Arizona, I think for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons.
I am not predicting that it's New Mexico, but I am not throwing New Mexico out. Maryland obviously is out. I'm from Maryland. It's crazy. It's also not interesting because it means you're moving to outside of DC or maybe Baltimore. It's not interesting.
Can I get an agreement? So I'm going to tell you right now that it's not Rhode Island, but can I get an agreement that Rhode Island is more interesting than Delaware?
Oh, well, Rhode Island's definitely more interesting.
Way more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a relatively similar size. Rhode Island's even smaller, but it feels like Rhode Island's got character. It's got corruption. It's it's got kind of.
Rhode Island has like mobbed up and corruption and political corruption. Sometimes they cross. Delaware, I'm sure, has corruption, but just because companies that aren't even there incorporate there. Yeah, that's not interesting.
That's right. Yeah. Delaware has like boring corporate corruption. Yeah. Whereas Rhode Island has a guy, I'm not saying he's got an Italian last name, okay? And I'm not saying there's 8 of them that were in their, some sort of legislature who had a deal with a construction company, but that almost certainly happened. Okay.
Let's throw out some other states. It's not Virginia for the same reason it's not Maryland. Although it could be Charlottesville, but it isn't. I'm going to throw out Florida because I don't think you'd react that way. And then I was thinking like South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. I think we can throw out most of the South. We're not ripping on the South. It just doesn't fit this description.
No, I've had a lovely time in Biloxi, Mississippi, and Mobile, Alabama. Wonderful museum there too on civil rights.
But notice that I didn't throw out North Carolina with South Carolina. So I'm going to hold North Carolina in the New Mexico category.
Okay. So before we go through all 50.
That's what I was trying to get regional.
Yeah. So give me your best 3 guesses.
All right.
And I understand that if you had more time, you'd have much better guesses.
Continental 48?
Okay, fair.
Yeah. All right. So Alaska and Hawaii are out, as they should be. for this game.
Craig, are you going to guess one as well? Okay, this is fun. Okay, it's hard. It's not easy. So that's a clue.
We talked about Montana earlier. Was that on the air or before the show started?
Before the show we started, because I said, hold up your coffee mug. This is not a shoptyt.com thing.
Yeah.
But I said, Ben said that's the kind of coffee mug you drink from in Montana.
At 7:40 in the morning when it's not freezing, but quite brisk.
Yes, and I said that's a Hateful Eight mug.
That's right.
And Ben and I, since we understand each other, instantly recognized that is correct, that is a Hateful Eight mug.
It's a Hateful Eight mug.
Like if you can't see that that's a Hateful Eight mug, there's something a little bit wrong with you.
Yeah, you don't like movies or coffee.
Plus, I might have just said Hateful Egg. Okay.
So it's very hard, obviously. So it's obviously, but it's not Montana. And because it's not Montana, it's also not Wyoming, because Montana is more interesting than Wyoming for reasons that I couldn't possibly explain. Yeah. And it's not a Dakota. So I'm left with like New Mexico, North Carolina. I'm oddly left with Michigan, which is interesting. I'm gonna eliminate. No, I can't do it. I can't eliminate any of them.
That's okay. No, you give me top three. Is that your top three?
I guess. Okay, fine. I'll stay with those. It isn't. I feel like I've forgotten a whole swath of the country.
Of course you have.
Oh no. All right. I'm sorry. No. And okay. Here's the deal. I have 5. I'm putting in. I'm putting in 2 others from the West. And I'm trying to think if I've left out something in the Midwest. I took Michigan as my sort of Midwestern.
Michigan is your safety.
Michigan is my safety. All right, so North Carolina, New Mexico, Michigan, Colorado, and Utah.
Okay, Craig, what do you got?
Craig is Texas. He's just gone with Texas. I considered Texas. I haven't mentioned them. They've entered my thoughts many times, but I decided not to go with Texas again because I don't think it would generate the initial "that's crazy" and then maybe "that's good." It's too big. You'd have to know where. In Texas.
So my friends live in
Colorado, which is tiny.
Yeah. So, so that's a good transition because my friends live in Chicago and they are outdoorsy folks and they love camping and hiking and hunting and fishing and all those things. And so they were thinking of moving to Colorado, and I was like, well, that makes a ton of sense. Colorado is a logical place to go. But the reason why it's not the correct guess is because Colorado's an obviously interesting, good place to go.
You wouldn't say, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, if you're going to Colorado, nobody's like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you, nuts?
No, you're sort of
if you're an outdoorsy person.
You'd go, oh my God, where in Colorado?
Yeah. But the problem with Colorado they had is that it's really expensive.
Very expensive.
In Denver and outside of Denver, et cetera. So then they had a second idea.
Did I get it? It's Utah.
No, but it's the hidden state, the state no one thinks of. Okay, Craig's writing it down a second option here real quick. And then once we started talking about it, I was like, wow, how come no one is doing that? Okay, last chance, Craig. You can just say it, you don't have to actually.
No, it's 4.
How did he know? It's Idaho. Okay, see, our stage managers are geniuses. Okay, so Idaho, I was like, you're going to Idaho? What the fuck's wrong with you? Right, like that's crazy talk, right? Who the hell goes to Idaho? What the hell's in Idaho, right? And then they're like, no, it's actually right next to Colorado. It has the same outdoorsy things. It has the fishing, the hunting, the camping, the hiking, et cetera. Boise is a town that is a real town and has, industry and
movie
business,
theaters, right.
movie theaters, restaurants, but is really inexpensive. And I was like, wait a minute, Idaho. Why aren't people flocking to Idaho? And I have a theory on that because it's a very poor name.
It's not a great name.
No, Idaho.
And neither is Boise.
Yeah, they got a name problem and they have a marketing problem.
Boise, Idaho is the worst name of the city and of the state of the biggest city in a state of any of the 50.
Obviously.
Right.
Okay. We're not even having that discussion. So, and I was like, yeah, if you want Colorado, but you don't want it to be expensive, but you still want a city, you go to Boise. You go to Boise.
My grandfather lived in Boise.
Really? That is awfully strange for a Jew.
The other one.
Oh, for a Mormon, perfectly normal. The number of Jews in Boise, approximately -3.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of, probably not a lot. I bet there's a synagogue in Boise.
Probably. I knew an Indian Jew. So anything is possible.
I'd like to go to Boise. I'm very eager to travel to that part. What do we call that? The plains? No, that's.
See, nobody knows. Idaho's the lost state. That's why, like, you should get there now. I need you to panic.
The Mountain West, I guess it still is the Mountain West.
I guess. You like get there as quickly as you can, because after this whole school segment, the prices are going to skyrocket. Okay, everybody's going to think like, why didn't I think of Idaho? You know why? Because you forgot it.
In addition to your
Admit
friends,
it, you forgot it.
In addition to your friends not being Jewish, I'm gonna wager they also aren't black.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
But they are. But the wife is Chinese.
All right.
Okay, and the husband is white. The second reason why, or the eighth reason why Idaho's slight genius is it actually has the same climate as Colorado. So it's not like the Dakotas where it's nothing but brutally cold.
I don't think that's true. It has to be. It's north of it. It has to be colder.
Well, from what they explained to me is that it's like Colorado.
A little justification there. A little colder. It's got to be.
It's Idaho. It sounds cold, doesn't it? But they said it's actually not. They say it's very similar to Colorado. If it has the same weather as Colorado, it's congratulations, people of Boise. Your market value of your house has just doubled. Because people just realized it. They discovered it. It's over. There's a run on Idaho.
Okay, black population, Idaho. I haven't looked at it. I'm going to set the number at 1.2%.
Oh, I was going to set it higher, so I theoretically should go higher. 1.2 is incredibly low. I would have set it at 2.1. So I'm balls to the wall here. I'm going higher.
Lower, 0.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, there are no black people in Idaho.
Well, there's 0.6 of 1.6 million. I think that's 16.
1.6 million, by the way, is like 3 blocks in LA.
That's right, yeah. So what is that? That's all 5%, so 160,000 is 10%, so 16, so like 8 or 9,000 black people in Idaho.
Okay, but when you put it that way, it seems like, wow, there's 9,000 black people in Idaho? Right?
Jewish population of Idaho.
I believe that is so infinitesimally small that no one has bothered to keep records of it.
Okay, I'm going to set it at 0.2%.
0.2.
But I don't know if we'll get the number.
I think it's so low we will not get the number. That's my prediction.
Jewish population in the United States by state. Thank you. That's lovely. And we now know how many people there are in Idaho. So in where is this by year here? In 1899, there were 2,000.
2,000 Jews?
In 1899, there were 2,000 Jews in Idaho, which is a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I'm more amazed by is that someone bothered to write that down. They're like, hold on, I'm counting Jews. Okay, well, that's actually not a good thing, okay? But
yeah, that's,
wow, somebody took a census of that.
So somehow this is a great table that has Jewish population by state in 1899 and 2017.
Only 2. After the original one, they're like, what do we do that for?
So let's count this up in what? Another 118 years? Yeah. We'll meet again?
Wow, that is incredibly strange. Okay, all right, now, no, this is good. In 2017, is the number higher or lower than 2,000?
It's a good game, it's a good game.
Right? Because it would be weird if they went backwards.
It would be weird.
Yeah. It's got to be higher. I'm going higher. Alex, I'm going higher.
It increased, according to this, the jewishvirtuallibrary.org, it increased by 125 people.
Wow, so nearly the same.
Jews, 2,125, an increase of, to get to our number, 0.2%.
Oh, wow.
So 2,125, so 1.6 million, 160 million, 160,000, 16,000 is 1%. So this is an eighth of, this is, I mean, it's lower than 0.2.
Yeah,
0.125, so yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. 0.125% of Idaho is Jewish.
That's right. Yeah.
So, Okay, well, look, if you want diversity, that could be another issue about Idaho, but it does seem like a bit of a find.
In 1899, there were only 500 more Jews in Florida than Idaho.
What? See, that's an interesting stat.
2,500 Jews in Florida in 1899. That number has increased significantly.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe my Idaho find is not as genius as I thought, because Jews went to Idaho, decided, no. They went to Florida, they're like, oh yeah, stovetop, I'm staying.
What state, here's our last Jewish population question, probably. California, Florida, New York. Where are the most Jews?
Oh, well, so California is the most populous state, so that gives it a leg up in that sense. You think of Jews in New York, obviously because of Brooklyn, New York, et cetera, the mythology and the reality, and then moving down to Florida. I'm going to eliminate Florida. It's going to come in third.
Florida is third.
Yes. It both has a smaller population, and the Jews moving down to Florida is kind of a 1980s thing. It's a little overhyped at this point.
They are third in the country in the number of Jews.
Still, okay.
Solidly. Solid third.
The places where I've lived, New York, Florida, California. So in my America, Jews are about 25% of the population. Now, right. in reality, it's of course around 2.5%.
Great game, great side game. We'll ask this of Craig. Craig, quickly, more Jews in Georgia or Arizona?
Georgia.
128 to 106. 128,000 to 106,000, Georgia.
Atlanta. Georgia has Atlanta in it, so it's I think because of the big city like that, more likely.
Phoenix is certainly as large or larger than Atlanta.
You think so?
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. I'm right.
Okay. You are right, but I think Phoenix is bigger than Atlanta.
You know, Craig, you should Rand Paul it and claim that it's actually Arizona. Because if your logic was better than mine, it's just I got lucky.
By the way,
you should have been you.
Wild card for Florida not being the runaway third. It is competitive with another state that I'll bring up at the end of your guess.
Okay, I'm just going to do it. I mean, California is a cute guess, but I'm going to stick with New York.
1.23 million Jews in the state of California. 1.23 million Jews. 1.76 million Jews in New York.
Yes, so I got it exactly right. New York, California, Florida.
And 500 and some odd thousand Jews in New Jersey.
By the way, so there are people also
400 Jews in North Dakota.
That's it, just 400.
400.
Wow. Yeah. There are people that are also playing this game at this point that are not like-minded with us. Somewhere else in the country, there's some alt-right guys playing this game, but they don't think about it the same way we do.
There are 400 Jews in North Dakota, and there are people in South Dakota who won't move to North Dakota because there are too many Jews there. 250 Jews in South Dakota.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Are they the winner?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's nobody even that can compete with the 650 combined. Everybody else is at least over 1,000. I think everybody is actually pretty close to over 2,000.
Well, that makes sense.
Mississippi doesn't have a lot. They're at 1,500. Montana 1,300.
Well, so I just came up with a new theory. My old theory.
Wyoming 1,100.
My old theory was that black people and cops know where to eat. Okay, they know where it's good quality food for
a reasonable price.
Reasonable price. Okay, and I say that because whenever I go to any restaurants that I love, it's filled with cops and black people. Okay, that's the only place they get along. Kidding. Kind of. But my new theory is Jews know where to live.
Jews know where to live.
Yeah, it's not South Dakota. It's New York, California, and Florida.
Right.
So what came in fourth?
Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. Yeah,
solid.
Yeah, of course.
Runaway.
All right, so I'm thinking of adding a bee to my killer bees. Did we talk about this? We might have talked about this.
I don't think so.
So the killer bees are banana.
Oh yeah, we did, but yeah. I oddly not retained it.
Yeah. So I'll just do it real quick because I think we did talk about it. Banana. You can add banana to anything sweet, obvious. Bacon to anything salty, obvious. butter to anything, period. Obvious.
Anything you eat.
Yeah, right. Anything you eat. So, so those are your killer bees. The new bee is brioche. Brioche. So no sandwich is made worse by putting it on brioche bread as opposed to whatever bread you were using. Okay, now that's not exactly right because the sub's got to be in a sub. It can't be in a brioche. That's ridiculous. Okay, but you see my point. Like brioche bread is so delicious. Yo, grilled cheese, that. Put it on brioche. It's going to be better. A burger? No, not a burger. Wait a minute.
I don't disagree with the brioche standard. I don't think it meets. I don't think it warrants being in the killer bees.
We might not have talked about it because as I say it out loud now, I'm wondering if it's not quite Hall of Fame material.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but
it's like football Hall of Fame, not baseball Hall of Fame.
My impression of brioche is that sometimes it's a little bready.
No, brioche is excellent. But is it as undeniable as bacon,
butter,
and bananas?
No, I'm afraid.
It didn't make it. No, hey, look, sometimes you float an idea.
Right.
You float it, and it didn't work.
There's no shame.
Yeah, it's
not
second
making
tier.
It. Right.
Second tier.
A lot of people love beer, right?
Yeah.
I'm not knocking beer's terrible, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, beer is not in any of those categories. Sorry. Okay, now, but hey, you know what? We've now created a second tier.
Yeah,
and we'll see. Brioche is the first entrant in the second tier. We'll see if there's any other bees that make it into that. The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.